This is my first time ever doing anything like this before. I'm stepping into sharing my thoughts and my insights online, and I have run from this for a long time, and I've had a lot of friends encourage me to do this, and so now I'm actually taking the steps to do it, and I'm taking you along with me on this journey. I have no idea where it's going to go or how to do this. They tell me just to be authentic, and I'm going to do my best to do that. So thank you for watching this video and listening. Well, I wrote a book, and I never thought that I would write a book about my life, and I did it, and it was a long process. It took me a lot longer than I thought it would. It took me 10 months, and it was a lot of change and a lot of insight into myself. All of that came about as a result of working on myself in meditation and the authentic spiritual path. And I am now at the point where I want to share that with others, hoping that they can also find some change and strength, and to transform the parts of themselves that nobody wants to think about. And part of that process for me was to recognize that when I was 16 years old, I'm 46 now, and when I was 16, I had a diving accident, and I broke the C5, C6 vertebrae in my neck, and that resulted in a spinal cord injury and having to use a wheelchair. And for 30 years, it's been 30 years now, it's 1994, and that was a long step-by-step process that brought me to a place where I could be free in my thoughts and in my heart and my mind and face what had actually happened to me. And a lot of times people feel trauma. They experience trauma, traumatic things that happen to them, and they never recover. They never find a way to deal with the things that have happened to them, and don't find a way to internalize it and experience it and actually feel the things that want to be felt because they're afraid. And I was afraid to feel those things for a long time, and I ran from those things. And one of the things that I did was I avoided any contact with anybody that was in a wheelchair or anybody that had a spinal cord injury. I had a few friends, but I did not talk to them very much. I often limited my correspondence with them. I avoided that world in a lot of ways, and I only got a new wheelchair when I had to, and didn't go to therapy when I should have, and I didn't take the time to research everything that I could have researched about health and diet and exercise and therapy, and anything that reminded me of medical, I ran away from. And I did that because I wanted to escape, and I wanted to be comfortable. And comfort is one of the most dangerous things that anybody can ever experience. It's kind of a golden prison, and it makes us think that that everything's okay if we're comfortable. And we live in a world right now where comfort is the ideal. We see it in the music industry and the media, and everywhere we look on social media. People want to be comfortable. And ultimately, there is nothing really wrong with being comfortable. It's the highest plan for mankind to live a good life, to live a prosperous life. But it is not the highest plan for man to become stagnant and so comfortable that we become apathetic and we do nothing. And we run from our problems. We avoid them because they will catch up to you. And when that happens, it can be disastrous. can result in things like sickness and disease and broken relationships and turmoil in our lives, because we avoid the things that we should be running towards instead of running away from. And it took 30 years for me to recognize that. And when I did, I realized that thing that I was running from was the thing that I was actually seeking in my heart all along. That the only thing that was ever going to really fulfill me as a man, as a human being, was to take what I had experienced and turn it into something new, something beautiful. So, what does that mean? Well, for me, in my experience, what that means is that I take the things that I've learned about not quitting, about facing your own pains, about taking responsibility for your life, recognizing that the origin and the cause and the answer to all of your suffering, all of your trauma is within you, within me, because we really are the creators of our own life. We live in a thought universe. All that we see, all that exists, is a thought in the mind of an infinite creative intelligence. And you and I are an expression of that creative intelligence. And when we abuse that intelligence, we abuse that creative power in our thoughts and our words and our deeds, we create suffering and chaos in our world. And then we try to run from the chaos that we created. But we created it and we can't just get away from it. But if we run towards it and recognize it for what it is, it can actually become our greatest strength instead of our greatest demon. And so, in my process of finding peace and healing in my heart and in my mind, I learned that what I need to do is I need to turn around and extend a hand of compassion and acceptance to all those who have lived through the same thing that I lived through. Because if we follow the example of Christ consciousness is the consciousness of recognizing the other in yourself. And that there's no difference between you and me. We're the same. We all have the same blood, we all have the same organs, we all have the same fears, the same passions, same desires. There's really no difference. The same need to love and be connected and connect to other people, other hearts. And in order to feel that, you have to be willing to recognize it. There's no difference between you and the other. And if you can see yourself in that other person and see them within you, you can turn around and you can change the thing in your heart that scares you the most. And then you can go back and you can help them to do that too. So that's why I want to be here and tell you about my journey in my life. Because it's my hope that by doing that, maybe you're out there and you're watching this and maybe you really lived through something that's really painful and really challenging. And you don't know what to do about it. And you struggle with religion, you struggle with the medical world, you struggle with politics, you struggle with all the things outside of the world that we blame for our problems. And you're looking for answers. But the thing that you seek is seeking you, and it's true, it's on the inside of you. It's a message from your higher self, that part that connects all of humanity, that wants you to grow, wants you to change, wants you to learn. And if you can embrace that, if you can find it and touch it, you can transform it. And that's what real magic actually is. Real magic is not changing your circumstances on the outside world. The outside world only reflects what's on the inside of you. But if you can change your thoughts, and you can change your words, and you can change your actions, and you can change the way that you see the world, everything that you see in the world will begin to reflect your perception of it. And that might not always be an easy process. People might not always understand. People might not always like it. You might not always like it. It might be very uncomfortable, but that's okay. Nothing worth doing in life is ever comfortable at all. So I encourage you that if you're looking for answers, the answers are inside of you. So what do I mean by that? Well, we live in a universe of laws. There's laws of gravity. There's laws of motion. There's laws of attraction and repulsion, energy. Why do we think? Because we live in a physical universe with the laws of gravity and motion and energy, that somehow the laws of thought and emotion and all those other higher aspects of our being are not also governed by law. They are governed by law. And those laws are the laws of vibration, the laws of thought vibration. And what we think really ultimately becomes our reality. Because if you think about it, the only thing you and I ever have power over is what we'll think. We can't control the weather. We can't control other people. We can't control what they do. We can't control governments, the economy, wars, the stock market. We can't even control, in a lot of ways, we can't even control our physical body. But we can control what we think. And if we begin to learn to control what we think, then we can change the things around us. So how do we learn to change what we think? The mind is like a muscle. It can be trained. It can be trained through meditation, concentration, ritual, prayer, study. There's traditions that have existed for thousands of years all over the world that teach those techniques. And those things can be learned. They can be practiced. They can be implemented. And we can grow. We can evolve. And that's really the point, is to evolve.